It's not pretty, but the Bills got the win, which means it is a victory Monday. Good morning. Jeremy is off today and through the week, so you've got me, you've got Joe Cali, you've got Owen Parker as we look back on this win over the Cleveland Browns, look around at the AFC. Also, the Sabres on a 6-game win streak, so we got some hockey along the way today. Even though it's a football Friday, we will mix in just a little bit on the Sabres. But the Bills do get the win 23-20 over the Cleveland Browns. Be looking for your phone calls at 803-0550. Did you guys stay up for the New England game last night against the Ravens?
I saw like the first little bit of it up until Jackson got hurt, and then I did not see the rest.
I was in on the Sabres game and then went straight to bed. So that was my night.
That New England game I was into a little bit, but same. Once Jackson goes out, I thought it took a lot of the air out of the game, even though the Ravens still hung around. The reason why is I was watching that game last night, and we'll get to Bills-Browns here in a matter of moments, but that game mattered a lot for how I was going to be thinking about this week leading up to the Philadelphia game and the division race, because I believe I have it right that
so your camera's not plugged in all the way?
If the Patriots had lost last night to the Ravens, then it would have set up a situation where the Bills-Eagles game basically would not have mattered. It would not have mattered. That it would have all come down to you've got to beat the Jets and they've got to lose to the Dolphins. Those two things have to happen. And if you beat the Eagles or you lose to the Eagles, whatever, you get those two things and you win the division. But I guess Allen having a foot injury or an ankle injury or whatever it is, he said yesterday that he had tweaked his foot and then he went for x-rays in the game, and that was, after that he was cleared to return. So I'm assuming that those x-rays went well to some degree. Maybe you were holding your breath when he went in at halftime a little bit. When he was walking off, I thought he's fine. I think... again, the Ravens and Patriots game had me thinking about this yesterday. I don't want to take for granted how durable Josh Allen is. And you need me to knock on wood for this? Like, whatever you need. He has been healthy, but also not. Like, he's dealt with stuff. Remember the elbow injury a couple of years ago that he picked up against the Jets and played against the Vikings with? He had a broken hand last year when he jumped over Budda Baker. Yesterday with the foot, and he plays through it. And often will still give you really good results. While last night, there's Baltimore. And if I'm a Ravens fan, every time Lamar goes to the sidelines, I'm now holding my breath because that dude misses games. And I've always thought there's nothing to me that when they're at their best really separates Allen and Jackson. Like, to me, it is neck and neck, and it's such a small difference arguing which one is better than the other that, to me, it's almost a waste of time. But they're not always at their best because one of the two is missing games a lot, missing halves a lot. And Jackson picks up a back injury yesterday, and now he might not be able to go next week Saturday. And if you're a Ravens fan, you feel like your season's probably over. Maybe you even get in, but your quarterback's not healthy. And here we wake up with an Allen foot thing, and we'll see. And that maybe is, one of the negative things to come out of a win yesterday. It was just an ugly, ugly game, especially in the second half. Like, every drive, it's like, all right, put him away here. Like, Browns aren't really coming back here. They're not really. And then it's, okay, now they're down 6. And, okay, here's the Bills going for it on 4th down. Surely this is where they, nope, they don't go out in front of a comfortable lead. Now it's another field goal for the Browns, and they're hanging around down 3 for 6 drives between the two teams. Once they kick that field goal, I guess that field goal makes it 23-20, so it's 5 drives. The Bills had the ball 3 times, and the Browns had it 2, with the game 23-20 at the end. And if you're playing, a good team, if you're playing a playoff team, there's Allen in the postgame saying, this is playoff football mode. You get a win however you can get it. The way you got it yesterday was you were playing Shedeur Sanders. And I hope they don't think there's any valuable lesson about toughness and, grinding through a game like that is meaningful at all to what they're going to face coming up. Because any average offense wins that game against the Bills yesterday. But you played a bad quarterback, a bad quarterback who hangs onto the ball a long time, which gave you opportunity to get there. And the Browns still moved the ball. That is probably one of the less impressive performances by McDermott's defense in recent weeks. I mean, I thought the Bills' rush attack was going to control the game all day and kind of force Cleveland into this very one-dimensional style of offense. And that was starting to happen, but then it kind of started to go away a little bit. Cleveland stays in the game. They're allowed to do a little bit of everything because they were running the ball well. They ran it 31 times for 160 yards, which is just over 5 yards a carry. And Judkins was doing it through the air, not necessarily on the ground. They were hitting the Bills with that jet sweep. How many times did they run that jet sweep yesterday against the Bills and pick up like 12 yards? Like 4 times? Malachi Corley, I guess I could just look. The receivers on the game. Malachi Corley had 3 carries for 30 yards. So they were running him off the edge. Sanders was scrambling around a lot, and they were taking advantage, I thought, of the Bills' linebackers in this game. Just an ugly game, really, on that side of the ball. You can't have that type of performance in a couple of weeks because a better team, not even a great team, not even a great offense, is going to make you pay for some of the mistakes that they were making yesterday. They got big individual performances, though. Jordan Poyer and Greg Rousseau. Rousseau throwing linemen to the side to get to Sanders on a big third down. And Poyer was everywhere in this game. He gets the pick, but he was making open field tackles. He was shooting by blockers and getting running backs in the backfield. So Poyer, to me, was like the star of the game for the Bills on that side of the ball especially. But the guy I'm thinking about the most from yesterday, and to me, like the main reason the Bills win that game yesterday is James Cook. That's a James Cook game. It's a James Cook day, I think. You want to look back on the idea of paying him and the commitment that they made to him, the development that he has gone through from a guy that was drafted as a pass-catching back to a pure runner at this point in his career. Like, when they drafted him, you might have imagined a big James Cook day to look like 6 carries for 30 yards, but he caught 7 passes and went for 100. And yesterday is not that at all. He only catches 1 pass, 17 yards. 117 yards on the ground. He is now the NFL's leading rusher over Jonathan Taylor. And I think he has a great look at beating Taylor out over the last couple of weeks. Taylor plays tonight. 90 yards back. Phillip Rivers at quarterback. Taylor against the Niners. And he has not been putting up giant figures in recent weeks. So it's going to be close. Like he had 87 last week, 74, 70, 85, 58. These are Taylor's totals the last 4 weeks. So it's close, but I bet Cook is probably the NFL's leading rusher tomorrow morning and heading into the last 2 weeks. But we'll see what happens tonight. But either way, some of those runs, the vision that Cook has, he is definitely, you got to have a educated eye, I think, to really understand what makes him great. Or you kind of just have to, sometimes maybe you just have to have a different angle at what he does. I watched a little bit of Atlanta and Arizona. It was just on Red Zone yesterday. And every time Bijan Robinson gets the ball, like, it's not hard to figure out what makes that dude special. That guy meets a defender in open space, and he is either going to jab step and run around him with this explosive speed and juking ability, and also the power to run the guy over. Like, it is athleticism, it is physical. Like, Bijan, it is, obvious what makes that dude amazing. Cook, he's not doing that the same way Bijan is. Like, he's not sticking a foot in the ground, standing still against a defender and going 0 to 60 and deking him out of his shoes. Or he's not running through the guy and staying on his feet. He's actually very good at running through a guy and getting extra yardage. But Bijan is running through a guy and putting him on the ground and staying up. What Cook does so well, especially when you get that back angle, you see the guy is just 3 steps ahead of the defense, knowing where the hole is about to open up, and he's very deceptive. He's kind of got to be. He's got to be a smart runner. And he really does remind me of Le'Veon Bell for that. Just patience and knowing exactly when to go through a hole. It's really the ball carrier vision. If you were, I don't own this year's version of Madden, but I would imagine that if you looked at James Cook's attributes on Madden, that speed might be like a 92 instead of Bijan, who might be a 98, and power might be a 80 something. Catching would be maybe an 80 something, but ball carrier vision would be a 99. The guy knows where to run. He's deceptive, and he sees the holes opening up. And I think that is why you look at some of those smarter numbers with Cook, rushing yards over expected, and you see that he is the number 1 back in football or one of the top backs in football. And he's doing it without being the, again, the Greek god type running back, body type and athlete that Bijan is. He's not athletic, by the way. I'm not saying that, he's a 7th round guy that runs a 4.7. He was athletic. I think he ran in the 90th percentile for his 40 time. Size, he was a little bit smaller, but he's developed a power aspect to his game. So he is an athlete. But he's punching above his weight a little bit, physically. He's a good athlete. Wouldn't say he's the best athlete at running back in the league, but he's performing like the best running back in the league, which is incredible. And I think a testament to him for the runner he's developed into and how smart of a player he is. I saw a lot of, though, yesterday, well, this is why you pay James Cook, or good thing they paid James Cook. I think those are 2 different things. Good thing they paid James Cook. For the future, maybe. Reminder, they didn't have to pay him to have him on the field this year, unless you believed he was really going to hold out into the season. He was under contract. That extension is not yet kicked in. So, we'll see. This is a good year. It's a great year. He's probably going to lead the league in rushing. He's 3rd now in Bills history in rushing yards in a season. There are 2 OJ seasons that outpace him, but the Bills tweeted that out yesterday, so I believe then, obviously, that it would mean that, Thurman never had as many rushing yards in a season as Cook does right now. Right, Cook's at 1515, and Thurman's career high was 1487. It's a historic year running the ball for the Bills. And good thing, because, and we'll get to this a little bit later, they needed him yesterday, and they need him to be this good running the ball because their receiving room is just a disaster at the moment. And yesterday, it was getting them killed with drops, mistakes by both the tight ends and the wide receivers. But it was a big day for Cook. Big day for Cook, big day for Jordan Poyer, and a big day for Greg Rousseau. 3 individuals that I think really helped push them over the line in a game that they should have been winning by way more. And it got way too dangerous at the end. And without those 3, I don't think they win the football game. Let's go to the phones. 803-0550 is the phone number. Let's go to Dan in North Tonawanda. What's up, Dan?
Hey, good morning. I just wanted to add one point. You're talking about James Cook. I mean, he had, on that long run yesterday, it reminded me so much of Barry Sanders. And I know I'm not trying to say that they're the same because I know Barry's in a different stratosphere. But what I saw from him yesterday was it wasn't a juke. It was almost like a wiggle. in his run. And the thing is he has defenders doing circles, but he doesn't lose speed when he's doing it. And by the time they figure out which way he's going, he's already passed them. And it's unbelievable. It's a treat to watch. But when I saw that yesterday, I just thought to myself, it reminded me of the one play he had against the New England Patriots, where Barry had a defender just absolutely lost in space. And I saw that, and I'm like, this is the reason why you pay this man. And I'll tell you, for now, I'm just thankful that they didn't let him go, and he's doing this to us, on a different team. So with that, I'll hang up and listen to your thoughts.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. The difference would be that he's not reversing field like Barry Sanders was. I think, the big difference there, and I know you're only doing style. You're not saying he's as good as Barry Sanders. The one thing that I think Cook knows that he has to do, that like a Barry Sanders could stop and start 5 times on a play and still outrun defenders. I think the one thing Cook knows is he's going to have his best chance, because, again, like this is a Bijan thing, this is a Jonathan Taylor thing. There's some running backs in the league that I think they can stand still on a play when they're down the field, and then they could race back to full speed. And I think Cook can do that, but not on the level that those guys can. That he knows when he's got a head of steam. Yeah, the wiggle or these little subtle jukes and movements while he's still running at full speed. Like, that's how he breaks away on that long run against the Browns, right? Like, he runs away from you can screen grab that run where he just crosses the first down marker, and he's got 5 Browns all around him, including 3 between himself and the end zone. How does he get by the 3 on his way to the end zone and stay in front of the 2 guys that are chasing him from behind? It's this little left to right movement with his hips, and by the time he's done with that movement, he's still running at full speed. And then he's got the angle on 7 of the Browns, and he's able to get to the corner. And if you are, I guess that's not a Barry Sanders run that I think of, but I also didn't watch him, game to game. When I think of him, I'm thinking he's stopping and starting and stopping and starting, and that feels a little different. Yeah, I don't know, like the context of how good he is, it's tough. Like, their line is great, but there's a lot of, hey, yards after contact, and he's probably developing or generating more in the run game than he probably should, and I think he's doing it with really it's like a running back IQ is really the thing I think I'm looking at from him. 803-0550 is the phone number. Let's go to Mike in PA. What's up, Mike?
Hey, guys. Good morning. Yeah, see, here's my take on James Cook. I think he's a great running back. I think he's very smart. He takes the right angles, and I think that he has some speed to go with it. And he's almost like Fred Jackson. He gets up on somebody and takes a step, and it's like a boxer throwing a punch. He takes that angle. But with all that said, I think James Cook is good. I don't think he's great. He doesn't have the physical attributes as Bijan. He doesn't have the physical attributes as Saquon or Jonathan Taylor. I just don't think so. I think we really should be praising that offensive line, because when they get in the zone and they start pushing defensive lines back 4 yards, he can hit the hole running full speed, and it makes it a lot easier to take the angle right when you're taking that full speed, because he doesn't miss a step going full speed. I think he's good. I still think he's just maybe 9 or 10 in the league. I think that's where he sits at, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks, Mike. I would say, though, and I hope I'm not giving this across, that you have to be an elite physical running back to be one of the best running backs in football. I think that by athleticism and, body type and, if I look at his RAS score, then, okay, is he 9th or 10th in the league? Maybe, but that's not how you measure how good a running back is. If that's how I measured how good a running back is, then Trent Richardson would be a Hall of Famer. That dude came into the league and could run super fast and was super strong and powerful, but guess what? He never knew where to run, and he was terrible, and he was out of the league in a couple of years. So it's not just who's the most athletic of the backs, because, right, if that were the case, then maybe Cook's like 9th. But you got to know where to run, and I'm not discounting how good their line is. Their line is great, but he's creating more than he should. He's creating, according to NFL Next Gen stats, rushing yards over expected by attempt. Let's do it that way. By attempt, he's averaging a yard, 1.25 yards over expected per rush attempt. So he's gaining a yard plus more than he should every time he touches the football. That's better than Jonathan Taylor. That's better than Derrick Henry. It's better than Devon Achane. In fact, it might be number one in the league. It is number one in the league. It's better than Travion Henderson, Jahmyr Gibbs. So, okay. Right, he's not as explosive as Gibbs is. So, I think what you saw on display yesterday is the thing that makes him special, which is he is a smart runner. And he knows where to go, and he gets results because of it. It's Cook Day yesterday, and now he leads the NFL in rushing, and again, they need him. They need him badly right now because their pass attack is very inconsistent on a game-to-game basis. Let's go to Mo in New Jersey. What's up, Mo?
Hey, good morning. How are we doing?
Morning.
Listen, glad we got the win, and obviously you don't take that away, but yes, today's James Cook Appreciation Day. I don't know if there are 9 or 10 guys I'd rather have over him. He's just been phenomenal for us this year, and our offense was completely off yesterday. And you just said something. I don't know what's going on with that wide receiver room. No Gabe Davis, no Keon Coleman. I'm not gonna say Keon Coleman's gonna solve our problems, but I don't understand why both of those guys were scratches yesterday rather. And you could just, our offense was all out of sorts, but he was the only thing that was consistent. He's the only thing that was, from last week to this week, good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And except in the second half, I felt like they slept walk through that second half. I don't know why. It's supposed to be the best second half team in the league. But anyway, listen, we got the win. And the thing is, we're going to be on the road. After the game last night, I watched the game, the Patriots game last night. We're not winning the division. I just can't see that happening. I'm just being realistic. If this show's going to go on the road and win games, we have to be better than that. But, again, thank God for James Cook and the offensive line. They've been great all year.
Yeah. Thanks, Mo, for the call. They are, we'll get to the receivers in a little bit. I'm more just interested in, the puzzle of, who's playing week to week right now. Because nobody is stepping up. Josh Palmer's a ghost right now. And Gabe can't get a jersey. We'll get to that. The thing you said about them on the road, they've got some good road performances. Like last week against New England, right? At least in the second half was great. And they smoked the Steelers. But otherwise, they have struggled a lot on the road this year. And you're right. They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to go on the road, at least at the beginning of the playoffs and maybe throughout the entirety of it. And you have an Atlanta loss on the road that was gross this year. You have a Miami loss on the road that crushed their division chances this year. You've got a Houston loss on the road to Davis Mills. And now, this is a win yesterday, but you win by 3 against Cleveland. That's not an impressive result when you're the Buffalo Bills and you have Josh Allen as your quarterback and you're a 10-point favorite. A win is a win, and good to get it for the standings, but they didn't play their best yesterday. And do I want to attribute that to, they're not the best road team? They're about 500 on the road, I believe, since the beginning of last season. So it's gone a couple of seasons now. And the tough part about making that assumption yesterday, though, is saying, they're not capable. What makes it tougher when you're on the road? I heard Eric Wood last week make the point about, it's a big difference if you play Houston in the playoffs in Buffalo or if you play them in Houston. Because what Deion Dawkins was getting penalties for in Houston was you're in a silent count, and he's trying to get a jump on Will Anderson Jr., so he takes a false start penalty because of the crowd noise and because you've gone silent count. You play that team at home, and you don't have to do that. Then you could hear it, and, it's about the atmosphere. Yesterday's not that. There were, by many accounts on social media, as many Bills fans in that crowd as there were Browns fans. So I don't know if I want to make yesterday, they can't win on the road point, or they struggle on the road at least. But it is curious that some of their worst performances of the year, in fact, I mean, Atlanta, Miami, Houston, and is yesterday their fourth worst performance? A lot of their bad games this year are on the road. 803-0550 is the phone number. All right, we'll get to phone calls when we come back. If you got a thought on the receiving room right now, too, like, we honestly have not done a lot of that in the last couple of weeks, and yesterday was a day where I think they really let them down, and they scratched Keon Coleman and Gabe Davis, so there's juggling there at the position. So we'll do a little bit of that and more on yesterday's game against Cleveland. Guys that really stood out. Again, I thought Jordan Poyer was all over the field yesterday. A lot to get to. The Bills 11-4. It's a Victory Monday here on a Buffalo Bills Football Monday.